Today we're going to make the perfect map for the Crucible of Steel and Flame. It should be no surprise that it should be a circular map, but the question is, how big should the hole be? To do that, I'm going to do some trial and error here, starting off with, first off, the smallest of circles. How much damage does the TACK Paragon do to a bad? I've made it so it only loops through one way, and it does about 62,000. Now, there's actually two things we need to take into account here, because the first ability here, as you can see, makes it so that the projectiles are much wider, and so on paper, it doesn't sound like that should perform well on a very small map. In fact, a lot of people say don't even use this ability at all, because it loses you DPS. But let me just show you the following. At a D100, by the way, it basically has almost full uptime, so that's why I'm refreshing the cooldown manually. But take a look. It's more damage to the bad, despite the popular opinion thinking that using this ability here would make things worse. Now, as part of my testing here, I've also implemented one of the newer features of Map Editor, and that is invulnerable Moabs. You can make it so that, at least on this straight line exiting, that any tower cannot damage a Moab at all, which is useful to see the exact damage that this Paragon will do in the circle and the circle only. And now for a bigger circle. We're basically going to keep going until we see the overall damage numbers to the bad decrease if the circle is too big. Because right now I think we need to find the sweet spot where the circle is small enough so that the bad is on top of all the attacks at once. And you see, that's why we've lost damage here. 10,000 in fact, which means the circle is too big that it didn't get full coverage of the bad. But maybe things can change with using the ability. Well, it still does more damage, but yeah. Well, that was fast. It looks like the ideal hole size is somewhere between test 1 and 2. Alright, I think after enough testing, we've found a good enough size. This one gets 63,000 and 70k pops respectively, so only a tad bit ahead of our very first test, but it's about as good as we'll do. And now that we finally found the perfect size, time to add 48 nodes. Much fun. We can get rid of the invulnerable mobs now, because that was just for our testing. Now, as you might have noticed, there's one thing that wasn't tested when doing the perfect TACK map, and that is the other ability, the giant meteor nuke. Technically, if you want to maximize that ability to its fullest potential, then we'd want the longest map possible. However, since it is really only a fraction of our total DPS, since it's an ability and all, I just didn't think it'd be worth the sacrifice of making it like the other longest maps ever, and it being like a giant elliptical encompassing the entire screen. So once again, donut-shaped map it is. Alright, I believe our map is ready. Looping through the map 23.5 times, let's see how good the Crucible is now against this around 200 bad as a test. If you want to take a quick peek, it looks like we're at about maintaining 3,000 DPS. It actually drops off to 1.5 at times, which means I think the map isn't truly perfect. There's a small section of the track that I think not all projectiles are on top of, but well, shit, I already kind of made it, so we kind of have to go with the flow. And you can see that when I use the ability, DPS is on average a bit higher, peaked at 3,700 there. Ultimately, though, it looks like D1 still falls short of beating around 200. Now, before we truly begin, I just realized I forgot to test something pretty darn important. That's a really, really big circle while using this ability all the time. Because if it goes on for long enough, maybe it can squeeze out more damage. But the answer seems to be no. So with this perfect TACK map, I actually want to do 2 different challenges with this. The first one is going to be a Chimps run. If I do a legitimate run with no cache modifiers or anything like that, how high of a degree attack can I get? And what round can said TACK last for? Now, the hero choice is something that I want to bring up pretty much immediately. Why is Yuli and not, say, Geraldo? Which you see me almost always use when I get Paragons in, like, boss events, because, you know, you gotta get those Paragon totems to juice up the degree as well. Because of the introduction of Cache Lighter, it's actually only worth it to use Paragon totems over, like, using raw cash if the Paragon is expensive enough. I think the breakpoint is about $260,000, the cost of the Paragon. And as you see, since the Crucible is only $216, I do believe $216 is less than $260, so simply using our excess cash is worth it then, spending the 26k per totem. But ISAB, what if you max out in the cash lighter? Then the Paragon totems are with it, right? Well, I would bet my left nut that we're not going to see that point, because I'm pretty sure for a max lighter TACK Paragon, you need like $800,000, and I don't think we can save up that much money. Getting to that point is probably more unlikely than nobody commenting when I drop the Discount Village timestamp in this run here. Speaking of which, we're going to do it now. I actually genuinely don't think we're going to save money in this run here, because the TAC tier 3s are so cheap that, yeah, it's, again, unlikely that we're going to spend so much that we're going to make back the money that this costs, because all I want to do is kind of the bare bones. Now, if I'm being truthful, I actually don't think it's impossible to save up for, like, a max slider 800k, because we're playing on, like, such a long map. I think it'd only be affordable if we did a legit true tryhard run and, say, max buffed attack zone or something, like, use temples and all that with a Zealy and, like, 20 shinobis. We'd probably get to, like, round 300 plus, and that would give us more money than simply just buying the tier 5s and no other buffs. But obviously, that wouldn't be as fun, because once we get the TACK Paragon, since that doesn't receive buffs anymore, then we're obviously just going to die in the very first round that we get the TACK Paragon on round 300, if you know what I mean. So, like, I want the highest degree TACK Paragon possible in Chimps, but I also don't want to get it too late to the point where we barely see any action on it. Does that make any sense? So right now I'm thinking we shouldn't even give the attacks any buffs at all, even though very easily you could get way more with TACK Zone. Just gonna buy them all vanilla, and hopefully they last till, I'd say at least around 130 something, because that is the point where we will at least fulfill the pop requirement to get the Paragon. 16.2 million pops is what we're looking for, and I think we only make about 200k right then. I think what's also pretty fascinating is that on fast forward, it almost doesn't even look like the Maelstrom is a Maelstrom. The way it's shooting out makes it just look like an infinite range attack. Also, seeing all the DDTs just keep on looping back and forth kind of makes me want to get at least an embrittlement, because I actually think we're going to die to a DDT round if I don't get that in the future. Only having the Inferno Ring attack is pretty damn slow. Having Azili for the early game was nice, but I kind of don't like that she's siphoned away 500,000 pops in this spot. Once again, it's not going to matter as long as we reach 16.2. Also, I said no cheating mods, but I think it's okay to add these helper mods that allow me to see the degree before I even buy the Paragon. So right now, no additional cash slider or tiers gets us 51, so pretty good. Up to 53, 54. I love this. It's so satisfying seeing the number update in real time, the more pops we accrue. It's also at this point that I guess I will fulfill the tier requirements. Remember, we need 100 of them to get an extra 10,000 power or so. These ones I don't care about discount villaging, because the money's going to be spent either way. Like, when I say we're going to spend for extra degrees in the cash slider, what I actually mean is spending, like, on other attacks, because technically the cash slider has a 5% penalty, so you'd rather spend as much as you can in tax before using that. So therefore, we needed to buy all of this anyway. Looks like we can still defend 128, so that's good. Up to 62 after adding all 100 tiers. 67, 68, 69 when? 69 now. Nice. And it does look like we don't have the money right now to get there. So thankfully, Azili's 3 million stolen pops will not matter. But this does mean this defense has to make it to 140, which as it stands, I swear I'm going to die to DDTs. We also, I think, have officially hit 16.2, if I'm looking at the number counts correctly. So that means you're not going to see this degree go any higher than 73. The only way it goes higher is by spending money, and I think seeing that, like how far we are off from 80, I think we should rather see the Paragon sooner than later, and we do die to 138, as I kind of expected, so Embrit it is. That'll now require another 1 or 2 rounds. Now, it's been lasting longer than I would like, so there's still a chance we die here. Oh, thank you. I didn't realize how much slower the income rolled in, so I guess in hindsight, I should have put more 022 tax under the discount village, and then maybe actually buying this would have been worth it. But that's not good news, that's bad news. How am I still dying here? I guess I have to buy attack speed at the bare minimum. You know what? We need a primary training. 1 extra attack pierce probably goes a long way. And it still doesn't work. Oh boy, we're cooked. You know what I think I have to add? Legitimately, a relentless glue. It's just we have nothing to slow them down. So I'm hoping enough stuns with the Embrit should buy us the time that we need. But I did not expect this to happen so early. Like, to be 30k short and dying to this point, and I don't make it. Okay, this time for sure. How about a glue strike? Because that delights the balloons. And also gives us +2 damage. But I gotta wait for all DETs to spawn in first before using it. Like now, I better not see any leak this time. Or I'm gonna be really, really sad. Holy shit, I legit have no idea what to do right now. Other than pray. And I also saw have to believe that we can still save up 35 more thousand. I think we finally broke through it, but damn, that was that was brutal. On the bright side, we finally made back our money, so just another round or two, I think, of handling DTs, and we're good. Man, you gotta be kidding me. $200 short right now. I just need to literally break down these DTs coming in on 154. And I think that's $200 right there, or the bad as well. If either or pop first, then we got it. All right, no time to waste. We can't afford to put another dollar into it. Time for the degree 73 Crucible of Flame. Find a freaking Leon. That should clear out DDs so much easier. And I think at this point, gonna go ahead and drop this tech bot on the field. Because there's not gonna be too much thought required from this point. Simply, we obviously want to spam the Maelstrom ability off cooldown. As I showed earlier, does edge out DPS a small amount. And the ability, for the most part, I shouldn't need a time. Unless it's, say, like, yeah, like there. I think I used it on the ZMG, but it would have been better on the bad here, of course. But I'm lazy, so I think only once we're close to dying is when I'll take it off tech bot. Also, I don't think it would be fair to use Azalee's Hex ability. I think I just want to see it through and see how much the TACK Paragon can do solo. And since it buffs TACK Paragon directly, sure, I guess it makes sense to do a Brittle as well. And the damage givers, but that's about it. Provided I can even afford it. Yep, looking like a guaranteed around 200 at this point. Want to do a quick count. That, before the meteor hit, that was about 4 loops that the bat got through out of 23. So maybe in hindsight, I could spend some more to bridge the gap in, considering we're at 40k spent, or rather unspent. That's after buying, you know, all of these things, but I think even then, I'm guessing to get 7 extra degrees here would need like 150,000. So right now, I don't think I'm losing out on too many degrees, maybe like 5 at most. Okay, so we gotta take off tech bot next round. 200 is way more important than using the ability of ZMGs here. So let's wait for the round to end. Use it instantly, re-tech bot everything. And see if we can beat 2 of them. I'm gonna be counting the loops on this one for sure. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it popped. But now the second one back here, I didn't count. But I think we're back at 7 loops. 10, 11, 12, still only halfway. Okay, we got so many more rounds to go. At this rate, it seems. It's kind of fascinating how, in my opinion, like, when we were struggling to DTs before getting the Paragon up, it felt like this map was so short, because they were so speedy and literally exiting within seconds. But seeing the bads there now puts it, I feel like, back into perspective. That, yes, this is a easiest frick map. That the bad stayed alive for so long, yet barely even got halfway through the track. Don't know if we have much more in the tank, though. Here's another nuke, but only lands, or we still got 2 F-pads left. I don't know about this one, Chief. That's gonna be a very last-minute pop. Didn't count, but looked like 3/4. Surely there's no chance here. This is the most amount of bads I've seen in a seed in a while, and there's multiple, like 3, I think at least 3 F-pads. Remember, the meteor attack only lands on 1 at a time, or can only damage 1 at a time. And the fireballs do help a little bit, but still, I don't know if that's gonna be enough. And if not, still a very, very, very good score. If we make it to the ability, we can make it, but nope. DTs are gonna get us. So close, actually, so close. And now back down to round 1, as for the second thing I want to test was, simply put, a degree 100 Paragon. Obviously, I think it'd be interesting to see how many rounds we can milk now that we've got easy rounds and theoretically infinite money, and also enough money that I will personally simulate getting Paragons. Submerging the sub 2 so that it gets fast cooldowns. And of course, who can forget the Boom Paragon, which gives a 10% primary buff to this guy. I think that's all the buffs that this thing can receive. And now let's make our way down to round 200, where we can see about a little over 10,000 DPS single target, and very clearly popping much faster than the degree 73 we had in Chimps mode. So not wasting any time here. Up to round 250. We see a peak of almost 300k DPS. So we are going to survive it, I think. But damn, those EMGs are giving us a run for our money. I think it's because, like, since they are a smaller hitbox than this EMG is, they obviously get way less damage because there's a good portion of attacks they're not hitting, as opposed to almost 100% of them. So I think in order to survive rounds, we not only have to beat F-pads, but we gotta beat them with, like, at least, I would say, 6 loops to spare. Because, yeah, take a look again here. Giant nuke? But the ZMGs are taking forever and ever. Oh yeah, I also want to talk about this. I've already shown that using the Maelstrom ability does give you extra damage, albeit just a little bit. But why is it only such a small percentage? Or rather, why is the ability in such a spot where there's merit to not using it whatsoever? Don't know if that was like an intentional decision by NK to maybe make you think about using the ability. Because in a tower defense game, I mean, yeah, having more decisions to make makes sense. Rather than having everything be brainless and it being obvious to use it every single time it's up. I don't know. But that is an interesting thought I had. If I had to guess, I don't think it was intentional. I think it's more so the stats are undertuned, rather than they don't want you to use the ability all the time. So, are we dead yet? Not yet. This round here does not look good. Me thinks it's the end of the line for the D100 TACK here. 3 F-pads this round. I haven't been counting, but I think we're pretty much out of length. We can't give anymore. I'm expecting the ZMGs to make their way onto the bottom left corner anytime now. Unless, again, the meteor has something to say about it. Oh my god, it's so close. Wow, we actually almost had the boomerang Paragon clutch that. Anyway, hope you found that satisfying, because that's the point of making such maps for these towers. Click here if you want to watch more stuff like that.